Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Laura.
It's been a nice year, huh?
Yeah, can't complain.
So, for those of you who may not recognize Rachel, we did a Psychology Today teardown video a year ago. Can you believe it's been almost an entire year since we did that?
No, what's happened in the last year? I feel like I blinked and now all of a sudden, yeah, here we
So, you won a full on Psychology Today teardown. Oh man, you have some thick skin. So, I will link to that blog post for those of you who didn't get a chance to look over that. But that was a whole video where I looked at Rachel's Psychology Today profile at the time, gave her some really actionable strategies, and since then, a lot has happened. So we're going to talk about that and see kind of the highs, the lows, the good, bad, and ugly of what happens when you change your Psychology Today profile. You ready to dive in? So if you can remember, because I hardly can, what was going on for you? What was that? That was Thanksgiving or so of 2017. So where were you at with your practice and everything?
So I opened my practice doors in May of last year. And then I started seeing my first client in July. On July 7th, I saw my first client.
Okay.
And at the time, it was cash pay. It was not insurance. And since then, I want to use the F word, but I'm a little hesitant. I'm almost full.
Wow. And what is your niche, konnichiwa, whatever we want to
Um,
call
I work mainly with adolescents and children with anxiety.
it. Cool. Now, can you remember, I know it was a year ago, but your old profile?
My old profile did basically what everyone else does. It started with I this and I that. And then I went through and reviewed all of the other ones and they all said I too. So why did I stand out? Like,
So when we met, we talked about how because you work with adolescents, you're going to target parents and speak to the teen through them. Um, so talk to me about, let's kind of do a little bit of like a chronology, because what I don't want to do, and I told you this before we started recording, is I don't want to make it seem like you changed your profile and overnight now you're full, yay, because that's not at all what it looked like. So can you walk us through the process of this last year? Um, Kind of talking a little bit about your practice, the highs and lows, but also kind of pointing it back to Psych Today, like in terms of how many calls you got, or if you ran into any dry periods. Just kind of walk us through this last year of your life.
okay. So professionally, the last year of my life has been on the whole incredible. It's been a dream come true. I started last year in July with one client and I was working in an agency 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I remember that.
yes, where I was happy, unhappy. I was happy because I didn't have to work a lot and that I had time to build my practice, but I was unhappy in that I didn't want to be getting home at 8:30 on nights when it was snowing, and it was too much. It was not something I wanted to do. So my practice started to grow very, very slowly from there. I had a friend who kind of helped me out and gave me a little booster. He gave me some referrals, and it was like maybe one, two, three, five clients for a while. And then when we changed my Psychology Today profile, I started getting more calls. But I also started experiencing some of these highs and lows because I would get like 3 in a week and then I would go a month without getting any.
Yeah. And what happened like during those times where you saw a dip in calls? Like what happened to you? Like
Um,
psychologically, what was that like?
I kind of freaked out. Before I took your class, I was in scarcity mindset completely, 100%. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to pay the bills. This is not going to work for me. How am I going to build this practice? And I set my fee at something I thought was fair at the time. I made the decision to start taking insurance. And for me in my area, that's been an unbelievable godsend as far as referrals and clients, because I've done hardly any marketing and I almost have a full practice at this point. Um, but like July was a really slow month for me. June was a really slow month for me. I feel like when school was ending, I tried to run a group and it was a flop. I wanted to do anything I could. And I just sort of was like kind of in this up and down. Like I wasn't really sure what was going to happen.
Yeah. I
And
feel
that,
like practice building is kind of like people think about it the same way that they think about the stock market. When things are going well and calls are coming in, we just subconsciously assume that it's always going to be that way.
Mhm.
And then when calls stop, or maybe when they just get lower, we're like, oh my God, we see this like downward trajectory and we start freaking out, don't we? It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten any calls in 2 weeks. That must mean like sell, 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 right? And then when the calls come in, it's like, oh, I'm golden. It's going to forever be this way.
yeah. So it goes up and down. And, my referral base is not huge. I get maybe 1 to 2 new clients a month, and I'm okay with
Mhm.
that. Whereas before I was like, oh my God, I want to go from 0 to 60 in 5 minutes. I learned to
Clients.
I learned to embrace the slow times. I in the in August of this year, I accepted a teaching job at WashU, and I know that my November, as of now, is looking a little bit less busy than October, which has been my biggest month so far. And I kind of look at
When
it like
we're
month by
recording
month.
this, how perfect is that? Recording it
I
when
know.
like you're busiest.
Yeah. So you hit me on a good day. Um, so I'm like excited because it gives me an opportunity to do some other things. And I quit my agency job in April officially. I stepped down, and then I told them in August that I was not going back at all. I feel like they kicked my butt out the door. That's not really what they did, but I feel like it's what they did. And ever since then, I'm making double the amount of money, and I'm working half the amount of hours, and I'm thrilled to death,
Wow.
even with taking insurance.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and insurance is not like, there's no shame in taking insurance. Like if that's something that supports your practice and you want to do that, you can feel free to do that. There's no like, you don't have to have a cash pay practice.
Right. And I have a couple cash pay clients, and it's a nice supplement to insurance because for every one of them I can see, one less insurance client. So that's good.
Cool. So talk to me about your Psych Today profile specifically. Have you made any other changes to it since our initial teardown a year ago?
So I've played with it a little bit. Someone told me that the more you update your Psych Today profile, the higher it puts you in the algorithm, like it raises you up, and the more you edit it, this or that, the
Yeah, it's
more.
interesting. Like I see that happening sometimes, and then other times it does nothing. It's just like when in doubt, just make some changes to it. But it's not like a definite thing. It's more of an art than a science, I think. But
So
yeah,
when my
you
business
made some little edits here and there, little tweaks.
Yeah. In the spring, I think my referrals kind of slowed down. So when my business was a little slower, I really wanted to sort of say, well, I don't want to focus as much on kids. I'd rather focus strictly on issues rather than an age group of a population with issues.
Mm-hmm.
And anxiety and depression are something that I feel like those are my strong suits in treating. And so I tweaked it a little bit from there. And honestly, it really didn't do me any good. I just tweaked the language a little bit and took out some of the kid stuff, the more catering to parents, and made it more general. And I feel like it didn't really do me any good. So I changed it back.
So you went back to the niche one.
Right. And I was actually reading through my Psychology Today emails because I have every single one of them from prior to our teardown and from now. And a lot of them, like I would get calls from parents, or I would call parents and they would say to me, oh, I read your Psychology Today profile. It seems like you really understand what I'm going through.
Wow. So by connecting with the parents, they were just like, yes, I want my child to see Rachel.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I think that's been really reassuring for me and really affirming that what I did to my Psychology Today profile was so helpful. And then after looking at them, they don't want to know what I've accomplished in my career at that point. They want to know how I can help them when they're going to Psychology Today to search for a therapist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't care, at least at first, they don't care where you got your degree, how many years of experience you have, what credentials you have. They just want to know that you get it and you understand their child and that you can help them.
Right. And one of the other biggest things that I think you and I talked about, which I did in March, was get new headshots. And I know that we talked a lot about this because I was really afraid of the money piece of it and spending, the investment and the time and all that. New headshots was, I think, one of the other best things I can do because my Psychology Today profile was so not who I am in my practice. I was in a suit. It was a headshot that was taken for an agency.
It was like super formal, if I remember it right.
Yeah. A long time ago, it was like in the JCPenney studio, and I was like, that's not me. Like, anyone who knows me knows that I wear blue jeans to work every day. And I love that part of being a business owner.
Yeah. And that's the thing with headshots that I think a lot of therapists still struggle with. Like when we say professional, we don't mean that you need to be wearing like a full-on power suit or have like, you know, the JCPenney background. It's about being authentic to you. So you
Right.
working with kids and you being more of like a blue jean girl, it doesn't help you to have a headshot with like you being like, oh, hey, I'm Rachel.
Right. So I sat in my parents' grass and played with the dogs and, and like put on my favorite top and pair of jeans.
Yeah.
And that was that. And like my favorite shoes are tennis shoes. And they're not tennis shoes like that you'd wear to play tennis, but
Mhm.
I just like it just worked for me.
Yeah. So what advice would you have for someone who maybe is in the beginning stages? They're like consuming all kinds of information. They're going through my Psych Today course and they're kind of panicking because maybe the phone isn't ringing as much as they would like. What
I
advice would
was
you
you
offer?
8 months.
What?
I said I was you 8 months ago, if that's where you are now, and that's okay. Because I promise that if I can build a business, anybody can build a business. Like you just have to be patient. Um, Taking your class, I think, was also one of the
Yeah, you
best
also
things
kind
that
of took
I
my,
did.
you took my
Um,
signature
Little plug,
program.
but
So
Laura didn't pay me to say that. I promise.
yeah.
Uh, but it's one of those things where if you really just stop and step back and take a look at yourself and what you're trying to accomplish, I think we sort of in looking at other ways of doing things, develop kind of our own style. And that's what I really liked about your Psychology Today teardown and sort of all of the things I've gained in reading everything is that, shadowing and reviewing and looking at all of this information, it can get so overwhelming, but then you have to step back and think about yourself and who you are and what you want to portray to people.
Authenticity, baby. Woo! Cool. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Is there anything else? Like, I can't think of anything. People just have been emailing me every time they read that blog post or they watch the video of our teardown. They're like, I want to know what happened to Rachel. Where is she now? So that's when I contacted you. Is there anything else that you want to share about the success you've had as a result of changing your Psych Today profile a year ago?
It's afforded me an unbelievable amount of freedom in the last 8 months. I have a birthday coming up and I don't have to work on my birthday.
Yes.
Because like I'm choosing to work on my birthday because I love my clients and they're my ideal clients. They're in my niche and like I'm allowed to do that. And I would say to anybody who's doubting themselves, like if you build it, it will come. Just make sure that all of your other organizations and systems are in place and it's going to be okay. And I also changed my website accordingly to my Psychology Today profile, which I think made a huge difference for me
Yeah.
too.
Well, and niching down,
Me.
if I remember our first conversation back in November of last year, you were pretty nervous about niching down on your Psych Today profile because you were having a little bit of like a scarcity mindset, thinking that like there is not enough people, like there are not enough people that are going to be fitting within this. And I don't want to fill my entire practice with only one type of issue. Like, how did you move past that?
I kind of started accepting everyone and realizing that, it's okay to work with issues, but at the same time, like, I feel like my best work was starting to get done with the people that I wanted to be working with teens.
Mhm.
And it's affording me the opportunity to have the schedule I want. I'm working from like 2 to 6 every day, which is amazing.
Mhm.
It's giving me an opportunity to feel good about my work and to go into work and like not complain about it.
Yeah.
And to be like, oh, I have so and so today, and that makes me feel really good because I love working with that person.
So it's also made you just feel more confident overall.
Yeah, it really has.
Well, thanks so much, Rachel, for coming on and returning and giving us all like a where is she now update.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Cool. All right, well, stay on because I still want to talk to you after this. But if you guys want to check out Rachel, what is your website, Rachel?
www.rachel, RACHEL, Kalina, KALINALCSW.com.
Cool. And you're in Creve Coeur, Missouri?
Yeah.
Oh, good memory. Cool. Well, thanks, Rachel. Bye, everybody.